Well, hello. Let's speak about notifications. And when we speak about notifications, what are we talking about? Sometimes a user is just outside of your app, just living his life, and you need to send him an important message about something that happened or that is about to happen. And this message is the notifications. So the notification is basically a short message, a short information, and it will allow you or the user to perform some quick actions without opening the app. These are kind of example of message you can send with notifications, and those words in yellow here are the core content of the notification and something you may want to increase the visibility, and we will see how to do that in this talk. But first, let's dive into some good practices. Well, all communication means ever became spam distributors. Well, for pigeons, it's not really sure, but for all of the others, yes. And with at least 2 million applications, there is a lot of possibilities to send spam with notifications. So the objective will be here to be a good citizen. Yeah. And well, let's see how to do that with a few tips and questions that you may have to ask yourself when you send a notification to a user. The first question is, should I send a notification? Well, the first answer is no. Then if you think you really need to send those notifications, ask yourself if it's really relevant and legitimate. I mean, will the user actually need to receive a notification about the video of a cat running after the dog or something like that? Is it a good timing? Will the user need to receive this notification at the middle of the night, or can you wait for the morning? Also, something to ask is how to request the permission, because as you may know, you have to ask the permission to send a notification. And probably you don't want to do it at the first launch of the application, at the same time as the location permission, the sign-up form, and many other prompts. So there are chances that if you do that at the first launch, the user will answer no to the authorization, so think about that. And you will probably want also to customize your notification. I mean, do I really need to play a sound with this notification? Do I need to add a badge and the icon? Do I need to, or can I use a custom UI on this notification? And also, do I respect user privacy? And for these two last questions, we will see in a moment what is possible to do on this. And the last advice I will give is to keep your notifications up to date. As you may know, we have API to update previous notifications. For example, if the delay of your train evolved, you probably want to update the notification instead of sending a new one in order to don't annoy the user. Maybe also you want to delete all the irrelevant notifications, and please do it, because there is nothing more annoying than to dismiss the same notification 3 times on 3 different devices. So let's be honest for a minute, and you won't get any medal for being a good citizen with notifications, but if you don't, there will be a sanction, and the user will probably unsubscribe from your notification or directly uninstall the app. And trust me, it's way easier to delete an application than to unsubscribe from notifications. So we have 3 ways to present notifications on a user device. It can be push notifications through APNS. It can be scheduled notification. You can schedule for an explicit date or specify an amount of time in the code. And you can also trigger notification depending on the location of the user. And we have access to 2 application extensions that will be useful. The first notification service extension is only for remote notifications, and content will allow you to customize your UI. So let's see how this works. If we take the example of a remote notification, if the notification is marked as mutable, it will go through the service extension that will allow you to perform additional work before the presentation. For example, to fetch some data or to download an image. After that, it will go through the content extension that will customize the UI, and then it will be presented to the user screen. So let's see a few examples. Here is a really basic use case. You have a title, you have a message, and you have an image. And you can add a few custom actions that are handled by the content extension, which can be here, read the article, add to the reading list, share, anything. Here I will want to use a custom extended notification UI in order to give a focus on the important information of this notification, I mean the platform of the train. And as you may see, we have the ability to edit the header of the extended notification in order to match the content also. Another usage can also be to display a map in the extended notification with an action that will be redirected to Apple Maps by the content extension. So it won't open the app, it will directly open another application. And here is a more specific case. Those are an example of task I have to perform to finish my talk here. But I care about my privacy, and I don't want anybody to have an idea of the status of my preparation. So I will be able to specify a custom content for my short notification when the screen is locked. And this is as simple as adding an additional parameter in a method call when you create your notification. So let's summarize. With three important things to have in mind when using notification. Notification are nice, but it can be really noisy, so handle them with care. Be a good citizen, or user may probably delete your app or at least unsubscribe from notification. And please enjoy all the possibilities given by the SDK.
Thank you. I like the idea that the fact that you said it's easier to actually just delete the app than disabling the push notifications. And it's true that sometimes you think, oh, will the notification be useful? Okay, if not, maybe the user will just disable the push notifications. But no, if the consequence is deleting the app, that's much more important.
Yes, and we all used, I don't know, a random game that sent you a notification every 2 days to say, hey, download this wonderful super pack of weapons, and you never use that game or only once, and you will just delete it.
Yeah, and it's true that, I think this matter is really important because I'm actually working those days on a health app, and when you want to warn the user about really important stuff, you just have the same channel as anyone else as this game, and this game will actually flood your important notification and you will not see it anymore. But do you think Apple could work on that? Could actually add some ways to, I don't know, emphasis some notifications that could be more important?
I know that on other platforms there are a concept of VIP notifications. But we don't have anything like that on iOS, but maybe it can come in the future.
Do you have solutions like if your user screen is crowded by notifications, how would you make your notification get more visible than other ones?
I think using titles on images will allow your notification to be more visible, and also maybe emojis or...
Yeah, but the problem is that that kind of games are flooding emojis. But I agree, and I also discovered that just adding more text to your notification will actually give you more room. That's a bit weird, but it actually
yeah, but it's also more difficult to read for the user.
Yes, but I mean, hard to find a good trade-off in those decisions. But what do you think could be done to give more control over notifications? I saw that in iOS, I don't remember which version, they removed the fact that when you slide on a notification, you can actually control them, you can use the custom actions, but they removed that. Or
yeah, no, at least on the recent devices, you have to do a 3D touch on the notification in order to access the custom actions. So maybe it will be more difficult for the user to discover them. Yeah. But let's see with usage. It's really recent. It's in iOS 11 that they removed that. So.
Yeah, I see that. We don't have any control on that, so we just have to prefer it.
Actually, I guess it's just because they want like just pro users to use that, but finally it can be useful even to like traditional ones. So yeah, kind of a hard thing to plan, especially when Apple changes your implementation under the hood.
Yeah, that you cannot have any control on that. We're done?
Yes. Other questions from the audience?
Thank you.
Just check if there are more questions. Do you have any recommendations around notification preferences screen?
Oh yeah.
I'm not sure to understand, but something important that we never use is that we now have the possibility to disable the display of the notification when the screen is locked, and the application can also set this as a default. You can say, I want my notification to be disabled or to have a custom UI when the screen is locked. So please use it if you have sensitive data. For example, for a messaging app, allows the user to use that. And if you are a banking application, also do that.
Yeah, and if you do that kind of thing, the user will see that and think, oh, this app is kind of nice. It's actually asking me what I want exactly and trying not to bother me.
There is a lot of possibilities.
Yeah, good for image. Thank you very much for this talk.
Thank you.
And thanks for your support.